sensing a smile.
And good morning, everybody. It's Dan Latto speaking. Welcome to the podcast. So today, I can't even speak. So today, we're going to talk about why your business shouldn't stay the same. And if your business has been the same for the last 20 years, you've gone bust, I would imagine. If we look at some of the businesses that have actually gone bust over the last 20 years, I mean, look at retail. Retail has been absolutely devastated. And they failed to make the transition to an online business, which is pretty much where we live these days. I know there's a lot of talk about the metaverse and all of that kind of thing. I noticed McDonald's now having a restaurant in the metaverse. How's that supposed to work? How are you supposed to eat virtual food? No idea how that's supposed to work. Quite interesting. But I love the idea and the concept that all these companies are trying to adapt to match where we are. 2022, middle of a pandemic, unless you live in England, they've solved it. That's amazing. The only country to ever actually solve a pandemic. That's fabulous. Well done, England. Another victory. Until the body bag rule comes in. I'm thinking about investing in body bags. That's a nice little investment, I think, for the UK right now. Anyway. It kind of upsets some people when I say that. So, but you got to adapt in your business, and if you're not adapting in your business is ultimately going to fail. There's all these long-term companies that have survived up to the last couple of years, and then bang, they've just gone. You know, they've gone bust. Marks and Spencer's even struggle. A company that was founded in Leeds 100 years or so ago. 2022 comes along, 2021 comes along, 2020 comes along, and it just affects it so much, and it's because they're not adapting. And so the way that people need to adapt, we live online. There's absolutely no doubt we live online. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, hi, you live online. You order food online, you order your taxi online. When the aliens finally come, all they're going to do is knock out a couple of our satellites and we are screwed. No GPS, no taxis, no fast food. What are we going to do? And so your business needs to evolve as well. And I was thinking about this just recently, actually. We lived in Spain now for maybe 8 years or so. And one of the things that's been really key for me is that I don't go to England and network. I've not done a networking event for at least 5 or 6 years. And when I did do them, I used to be the guy on stage rather than doing the networking. But we live a different lifestyle now. I had to adapt my business so that knowing I wouldn't go and network and meet people in the normal way, that I would have to connect with people in a different way. And so we adapted the business, and actually it's turned out very well for us. Because as we're moving forward and we're moving into the metaverse, and the metaverse for me, by the way, is just a more immersive online experience. That's all it really means as far as I'm concerned. And we've been living in a metaverse for a couple of 100 years. You know, the written word in a book is your brain going into the book. You can be sat on a bus reading the most emotional paragraph of the book, tears flooding down your face, and then it's your stop. You've got to get off. And so it's moving your mind into another environment. And your customers, if you think about this, if you're listening to this, your mind is elsewhere. Your mind is actually immersed in listening to this. And people who download the podcast, we love it, because if we do a 20-minute podcast, for 20 minutes that person is listening to me, their mind is thinking about me and my brand and all of that kind of thing. That's one of the reasons why we podcast. We want to get our voice out to the masses so that internally, this is really where the metaverse actually exists. It's not on computer systems, it's inside a person's head. And so as we evolve our business, the question is constantly, how do we get inside more people's heads? That's really the key to this. As you're growing your business in 2022, how much Zoom are you doing compared with what you used to do in 1999? Well, 1999 is a good one. How much, 100% versus 0%. How much Zoom are you doing in 2022 compared to 2019, 2015? Masses of change. How has your life changed digitally? And I know people are taking the mick out of metaverse and that kind of thing, saying, oh, load of bollocks, it'll never happen. They used to say the same about the internet. They used to say the same about the TV. They used to say about sending rockets to Mars. They used to say the same about sending a rocket to the moon. And here we are, 1965, 69 was it? Here we are 50 years later. 53 years, is it? We've sent people to the moon. It's ridiculous. This is how fast it's going. And you've got to adapt. Your business has to adapt and it has to evolve. And so let's talk about some of that in today's session. So, first one up. Your business shouldn't stay the same. The first part is evolution. And so when we talk about evolution, this is just about, animals having babies that are slightly different than mum and dad. And as it goes on through generation to generation, the offspring adapt to their environment. Now, if your business, I'm not saying you have little baby offsprings in your business, but if your business isn't evolving over time and adapting to the environment, then you're just a dinosaur. You're gonna fail like the dinosaurs. Your business is a behemoth that's not going to survive moving into 2030, 2040. What do you think the universe that we live in is going to be like in we're in 2022, in just 8 years' time? What do you think that's going to be like? Do you think we'll all be walking around the streets in headsets? We won't be. You'll be sat at home wearing your headset, walking down the street with tactile gloves and bodysuits. There's a really good film, by the way, with Bruce Willis, and I can't remember the name of the film, but he has an avatar, which is a robot that actually walks around for him, and he's just sat in a chair with a headset on. I can't remember the name of the film, but if I do remember it in this session, I'll remind you. It's such a good film. So, where do you think this is going to go to? And I think you need to embrace change. And I know that people are scared of change. If I look at me 10 years ago, 2012? Goodness me, the world was vastly different. I lived in England. I wasn't married. Just so different. And where are you going to be in the next 10 years? And then look at the technology that we had 10 years ago compared to the technology we've got today. And where's that going to be in 10 years ago? And the thing about technology is it gets faster and it accelerates faster. I'm sure you've heard of Moore's Law, twice as fast for half as much every 18 months. And I'm sure that's accelerating too. And so I think now is the time. And now has always been the time. I could have said this 10 years ago, or 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. Now is the time to begin to embrace the new paradigm shift. How's that for gobbledygook speak? The new paradigm that we're about to enter with the invention of the greater usage of things such as the metaverse. And you've got to be prepared for that. So how are you presenting in real life? And now, I use the word real life, and I'm kind of joking about the term real life, because it's not real life. If you're watching this on a mobile device, that's not real life, is it? That's just you watching me. Except it's becoming real life. And if you're not embracing this more in your business, and other people are, your competitors are all online right now. And I know, well, Dan, we've got a website, we've got a Facebook page. Yeah, but how do you get people to listen to you? This is the question. How do you get more people to listen to who you are and listen to your message? You've got a Facebook page, you've got a LinkedIn page. Great. What actual activity are you doing to increase your network of followers on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on YouTube and on the podcast? What are you doing? This is one of the reasons why we have all these different types of podcasts, from property to business to marketing to mindset to NLP to cryptocurrency. It's because we want to capture as many people as we can so that they then start listening to our message, and at some point, hopefully they'll like us, maybe they'll hate us. Either is fine. If they hate us, they'll never work with us. If they like us, then hopefully they will work with us. That's awesome. Either way is fine. But what are you doing to get out to people who don't know that you exist? And what are you also doing to get out to people who do know that you exist? And if you're not embracing this, we're a marketing business, and so pretty much everything we talk about is marketing. But I believe in business, there is no business without sales and marketing anyway. Nothing happens until something is sold. I'm sure you've heard of that before. And so you've got to look to evolve on a constant basis. And the questions you should be asking yourselves are, from a marketing perspective, sales and marketing perspective, are, how do I get in front of more people that don't know who I am? And how do I get in front of more people who do know who I am? One of the reasons why we go live so often is that all those people who know we exist, we're there, we're in the face, we're constantly there. We've got podcasts, we've got video shorts, as we call them, where each one of these sections gets pulled out and put into its own little video section, so you can just watch the little bits that last for a few minutes. And so we're constantly creating content, we're constantly creating images and videos and podcasts. It's then going out, and most of it is going to go to the people that know who we are. Some of it will also attract people who don't know who we are. Certainly when we got onto LinkedIn and we're able to go live on LinkedIn like we're doing now, that makes a tremendous difference. And if you're not live on LinkedIn and live on Facebook and live on YouTube and putting your podcast on iTunes, I mean, crikey, we're on Spotify. I'm a Spotify artist, don't you know? Beyonce probably needs to start worrying, and Joe Rogan in particular. Oh, we're going to beat Joe Rogan. Like, we're on those platforms just like everybody else, and certainly we don't get the same amount of visitors and downloads as those guys do. But they're top of the game, we're bottom of our game, and we're working our way up. The more content you do, the more you get out there, the more that people are actually going to see you. And that, for me, is the evolution of your business in 2022, going through the rest of this decade. If you're not adapting and evolving in your business, then you're going to actually struggle. So the next part then, as to why your business shouldn't stay the same, are the systems that you've got in place. Now, this is really important. If you've not actually got any systems, then, like, how's that supposed to even work? Like, if you employ a new person, and then you employ another person, another person, another person, what, you have to go through with each person, like, the training again? Why is that not recorded onto video? Why is that not into a booklet where people can go, do this, press that, do this? We've just started a new thing in our digital marketing agency where we are giving away free hosting for 12 months. And so what it means is that people have to transfer their website over to us and we help them do it. And the way it works is it can be quite complicated, but we know what we're doing. But when we get our team members to do it, some of them aren't as au fait with the process as we are, for example. So guess what we do? We have a training session. We have a system. We have pre-recorded videos and a booklet that people can look at, step-by-step guide. The booklets aren't even ours. The booklets are created by SiteGround, which is who we use for our amazing superfast hosting. We have our own superfast server, which we're very proud of, by the way. It costs a bloody lot of money, does that? But we're very proud of it. And so we've got systems, and sometimes the systems don't need to be ours. Like, there's no point in me rewriting a system for transferring a website when SiteGround, who are the experts on this stuff, already have that system. So we just copy it, stick it in our guide, and when we take on a new member of staff, you want to know how to do that, here's the guide, here's the links for it. Go read the latest version on SiteGround website so that we don't have to keep it updated all the time. But if you've not got systems in place, then now is the time to get systems. That's step one. Step two is if you have systems in place but they actually haven't been updated for, what, I'd say 3 or 4 years, now is the time to start to update those, because there are new tools out there, there are new systems out there, there are new processes of doing things. You think about what didn't exist 4 years ago and what exists now. TikTok. I mean, you know, we're marketing based, so we think about stuff like that. Slack. I don't know if Slack was available 4 years ago. Zoom. Like 4 years ago, everybody used Skype, right? And like, you know, when someone says, I'll Skype you, they're over 50. No under 50s say, I'll Skype you anymore. You know, so like the systems have moved on as well, and they've actually evolved, and there are probably better systems and better way of doing things in your business that you haven't even looked at. And I know that you're so busy running around, well, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And if that is you, then you absolutely need systems. I'm sure you've heard the whole thing. If you haven't got time for 20 minutes to meditate during a day, then you need to meditate for 40 minutes. It's absolutely true. If you're running around and you're so busy that you haven't got time to implement systems, Dan, I don't have time to do that. Like, you're too busy. You're a prime candidate for actually inserting systems into your business. Plus then outsourcing some of that work to free you up so that then you can go out and create new systems and evolve the business and work on yourself and so on. Next one up then. Your business shouldn't stay the same. New ideas. Like, where are your new ideas coming from? What process have you got in place to record the thoughts that you have in the shower or the bath? Like, if you're anything like me, I come up with amazing ideas in the shower. As soon as I get out of the shower, oh, what was that idea again? What was it? So, like, you've got to come up with a system of recording new ideas. Sometimes it could be a dictaphone. Sometimes it could be writing stuff down as soon as you get out. I even looked at waterproof paper, so that, those shower ideas, and you write it. Even if you get like something to write on the wall, anything to record that. Or it could be when you wake up in the middle of the night and you've had an amazing dream. I was in Die Hard in my dream last week. Don't ask me what that was about. But you have amazing ideas when you wake up. You know that dream state between deep sleep and, just when you're falling to sleep, but you're not quite asleep and you're not quite awake. That bit right there, that bridge, that for me is where I get a load of really cool ideas. And one of the things that happens, my best dreams actually come from, I wake up after a night's sleep and then I fall back asleep and snooze. That time period is when I get some really crazy ass dreams. And for me, it's about recognizing that that's actually a thing. And actually, I get some really good ideas just in that dream state right there. For me, it's like having done a lot of hypnosis with NLP, it's a kind of a hypnotic dream state. And you're using the unconscious mind to bubble up these ideas. But as soon as you kind of become conscious, the ideas pop. These bubbles of ideas pop and have gone. So you've got to find a way of recording new ideas. And so where do ideas come from? Well, they come from you internally, your unconscious mind. You could just be walking down the street and an idea pops in. Or it can come from external. And there's two types of external. So one type of external is where you're walking down the street and you see something and you go, oh, look at that. That's good. Oh, that's really good. Oh, I could implement that in my business. And then, you have to write it down. Then you go home, you think about it more, and you can adapt things outside of your industry that could be brought into your industry. One of the things I did in my coaching business was I followed a lot of coaching fitness professionals because they were doing some stuff that I could then implement into my business coaching business that I used to run. So that used to be really useful. Stuff outside of your industry and somebody else's industry, and then you pull it in. So that's one way. And then the second way is actual feedback from clients. And so actually there's two ways there. One is feedback from clients and one is feedback from internal staff. So the question really is, what is the mechanism that you've got in place for when someone gives you feedback? And by the way, I'm a hypocrite here because we actually haven't got this in place in our business as well. Now I'm talking about it, I'm like, shit, I need to do that as well. So what's the mechanism? Like a suggestion box. Like, why not have a suggestion box for clients and internal team members? Some of them will be crap, obviously. Some of them will be just undoable. And then some of them will be like, oh my goodness me, that's just truly amazing. I never even thought about that. Okay, so your business shouldn't stay the same. The thing that you need to do now is promote adaptation. So first of all, what is adaptation? Adaptation is an ability to change. And I'm sure you've heard this before. Well, we do it like this because we've always done it this way. Is it the is it the 4 worst words? I already know that. Yeah, four saddest words in business. And I think the other one is the 9 saddest words in business. We've always done it that way. 7, 6. How many fingers have I got? 6. 6 saddest words in business. We've always done it that way. And so you've got to not only be open to adaptation yourself, but your team members need to be open to adaptation. And also your customers need to be open to adaptation as well. Let me give you an example here. So when we take on a client, we put them into a Google Chat. Google Chat is like Slack. Slack is like WhatsApp. So you've got either direct messages or you've got groups. So we create a whole bunch of groups for each client that we've got. And then we've got groups for our internal video editors, for, group 1, group 2, group 3. Then we've got same for our graphic designers and content coordinators. They've all got that, okay? So when we take on a new client, their new client will have a preferred communication system, a preferred communication style. And it might be LinkedIn, it might be email, it might be Facebook Messenger, it might be WhatsApp, it might be text message, it might be carrier pigeon, it might be smoke signals. That's smoke signals, by the way. It might be picking up the phone and talking to you for the next 30 minutes. It could be writing you a letter. Like, who on earth knows what their internal system is? And one of the problems with that is that if I've got 50 customers and I've got one over here, one over there, one over there, one over there, one over there. How on earth am I supposed to keep track of all of that? And my entire day just ended up being communication, trying to find out who's communicating from where. Now what happens is we move everybody onto Google Chat. Some customers refuse to do it. They don't stay customers. They either adapt to the way that we perform the business, and I know what you're thinking. Well, Dan, you should be adapting to your customers. You should be grateful that you've got customers, and we are. But we do okay. We're not relying on, we're not desperate on customers, you know. So we can pick and choose which customers we get and the customers that we keep, and they have to fit into our communications channel, because if not, the entire business grinds to a halt. So let me see. Steve is just saying adaptation currently in process, very empowering. One of the things, Steve, I find is that if you've got an open mind about adaptation and you allow yourself to be adapted by your environment and by the circumstances, you do really well. And some businesses in the pandemic have actually done that incredibly well. And obviously, there's some businesses in the pandemic that haven't done that, and well, they've gone bust. And so it's like there's an episode of Star Trek, and we're talking Tuvok and Neelix. We're talking about a plant, and it's really rigid. And Tuvok is trying to train some cadets, right? And they're not bending to his will, and his will is absolutely rock solid, right? And Neelix is saying, well, actually, if you don't bend with what they're supposed to do, the whole thing will grind to a halt. Pretty much that's what he said. And so in your business, you also have to adapt and bend to wherever it's going. Some businesses did this really well. The pub landlord, who's a mate of, what's his name's, Matt Hancock, is it? Who he adapted incredibly well. He got like a couple of £100 million worth of PPE contracts. As a pub landlord, how's that for bending? Like, on one hand, it's really bad, but on the other hand, I mean, I think it's thievery, quite frankly, but on the other hand, well done him. He saw an opportunity in the market, he went and took it, he's made his millions, thank you very much. Everybody hates him, but he's all right with that. Like, if you're all right with that, go do it. It's not for me, but fair enough. But adapting to the changing circumstances, instead of being this rock-solid, unbendable bamboo, if you like, which will eventually snap. Whereas bamboo, as we know, bends in the wind. And they found this with giant buildings. If a building bends in the wind, it will survive the worst storms. Those that don't, they will collapse. And in your business, you have to adapt to the environment, to the situation that we're finding ourselves in. If aliens ever land, I love using that as an example, by the way. When the aliens land, pretty sure they will do. And you know, what I find funny is people talk about aliens taking over the world, and I'm like, would that be such a bad thing? Look at where we are right now. Look at that. Look at the leaders that we've got. Can we get the aliens here like now? Maybe they could just come and take over and just, you know, cure cancer and sort out all the wars and, you know, help raise the education level. That's not such a bad thing, is it? Anyway, when the aliens land, some companies will do really well. Some companies will just utterly fail because they failed to adapt. And so you have to promote this adaptation within your business so that not only you are open to adaptation, but your team members are open to adaptation. Plus, you've got an open door policy. So when someone says, Dan, you know, like we do it this way, can we do it slightly different? Can we do this? And being open to that. Like, the answer still might be no. Just because someone comes up with a suggestion doesn't mean that you have to actually do it. But chances are that they could come up with some really good ideas that you can then implement into your business. And then, over a period of time, I mean, imagine 10 good ideas this year, and 10 good ideas next year, and 10 good ideas the following year. Imagine what your business is going to look like going into 2030. And so I think we've got an opportunity here, given the pandemic situation, to adapt how we change our business to further serve more people. And what we said earlier right at the start was you've got to use the facilities that are there right now. Zoom, YouTube, podcasting, LinkedIn Live, all that stuff is there. Most people are not using it. Your competitors are not using it. And you've got an opportunity there to adapt faster and evolve faster and beat some of these competitors. Anyway, look, hope that's useful. We're going to go and have a wicked day. I hope you guys have a wicked day as well, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. My name's Dan Latto. Have a good one. Take care.